Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay. Very well, Prabhu. Very well. So happy to see you all. And on behalf of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and our temple president, I wholeheartedly extend you a welcome to our Sunday feast lecture at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. And I'm so glad that you are able to make it. And also a special thanks to those who are attending online today. I welcome all of you. But as usual, before we start our class, we offer what is called the Mangalacharan prayers. For those who are not familiar, these are prayers to invoke auspiciousness. And it will be momentarily posted on the screen if you would like to follow. Otherwise, just enjoy the prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi cha kaschana parihare pilajjame kim bhruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho. Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Tvadiyam Niti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha. Radha Radhita Radhesha Radhika Prana Vallabha Radha Ramana Vande Tvam Radhika Prema Nirjita. Very well. Hare Krishna, Navina Nirada Prabhu. Please welcome. The life is back at ISV. Hare Krishna. So again, welcome all of you to the ISKCON Silicon Valley, and thank you for joining us today. There is a very interesting story of Mahabharata. Shall I tell? Yes. Right. So we know about how the Pandavas have been exiled, and their terms and conditions were that they had to spend 12 years in the forest, and 1 year was incognito. And during this time that they were spending in forest, it so happened that they were moving through different forests, because Maharaj Yudhishthir was in the forest with a large number of his followers and brahmanas and others who came to be with them. And so they would exhaust the resources in a particular part of the forest, and they were very eco-conscious. Environmental consciousness, eco-consciousness, ecology and all that might be new term, but in Mahabharata it was being strictly followed. Because when the Pandavas realized that a particular part of the forest, the resources were exhausted, they would take compassion on the animals. Because if they exhaust everything, where would the poor animals go? And so they themselves would leave that part and go to another part. In that way, they would go from forest to forest. So in a forest called Dvaitavana, when they reached, they usually would be close to the ashrams or huts or hermitages of sages within the forest. And one day, as they were in Dvaitavana, a deer which had antlers, in US you can call them moose, right? Is it called moose? Moose is one with antlers, and deer is the one without antlers. That's the distinction here. So that's why, in India, that distinction is not there or was not there. So deer did have horns, for those who have that mental picture of the status of the families in the United States. So a deer came, and then it was playfully nudging in the grass, the place where these sages were. And please understand that the sages in those days would perform fire sacrifices. Sometimes in the temple you see that there are some fire sacrifices here, either during initiation time or during Gita Yajna time or during a marriage ceremony, so on and so forth. You'll see that there is a fire, and then there's a priest offering the ghee to the fire. The priest does it with the bare hands, correct? Just take some things, like with the hand, you take some ghee and put it in the fire. No? Oh, thank God. Because quickly that priest will be claiming disability insurance. Hands being burnt and all. So how would they do it? With a wooden spoon, right? That's right. So the Brahmana had the same wooden spoons that he would use for fire. And the deer came, and the spoons were held by threads at the end so that they could be hung. Unlike modern pans where you have those small hooks at the end, you can hang it. So that it was, and then the deer came in, and it was just playing in the grass, and the thread of those wooden spoons got stuck in the antlers of those deer. And then the deer took off. It just ran off with leaving Brahmana without the spoons that he has to use. To use a modern analogy, can you imagine a software engineer without the laptop? At least even if you lose the laptop, or it's stolen, or you are lost or broken, you have an IT department that will come and replace the laptop. In Dvaitavana, there was no IT department to replace the spoons of that Brahmana. So this Brahmana was aggrieved. He was without his livelihood laptop of those ages. He comes to the Pandavas and he says, please, this is a serious situation. I cannot do my evening sacrifice and the morning sacrifice tomorrow if I don't have those spoons, so please help me. Now, kings in those days were very dutiful for the Brahmanas. They considered their duty to serve the Brahmanas. And as soon as Pandavas heard this, what was their reactions? They'll be like, dude, we are in the middle of forest. We lost our kingdom. we are suffering. Now you are adding to our suffering on top. No, they were like, yes, so anxious to serve the Brahmana. They said, yes, we'll go to the forest and we'll get you, don't worry. And they alleviate the concerns and fears of Brahmana, and they take after this deer. And they start chasing that deer. As soon as the deer comes in the sight, they start shooting their arrows. Now, Arjuna and arrows is not a unique or an unknown situation. I mean, who here will raise the hand and agree with my statement? Arjuna was at best okay bowman, not great with the arrows and bows. Is anybody going to agree with that and raise the hands? No, for Draupadi's hand, he shot a fish that was circling in the roof and looking at the eye of the fish in the reflection in fact, Arjuna's prowess was so powerful that he could shoot the arrows in the middle of night just by the sound of it. That was his power. In fact, it is said in Mahabharata that Arjuna would, one night when he was eating his dinner, the lamp by which he was eating dinner suddenly blew away because of wind. But Arjuna was eating anyways. He said, if I can eat without light, then why can't I shoot arrows without light? And he started practicing in the night. So, coming back to our story, Arjuna shot arrows at this deer and he missed his mark. And they were frustrated. What is this going on? We are capable of, anyways, I'll come to that point a little later. They were frustrated, and the deer soon outran them as they were chasing it and was quickly out of their sight. And the Pandavas were left frustrated, depressed and anguished. They were hungry, they were thirsty, very tired. And they took shelter under a banyan tree and they were discussing their predicament. Nakula asks Yudhishthir, what has happened? How did we come to this state that we are unable to conquer a deer in the forest with all 5 of us together? And Maharaj Yudhishthir tells a very, very beautiful reply, which is applicable to all of us. Should I tell or is it too boring? It's a good afternoon to take a beautiful nap, but Maharaj Yudhishthir says there is no limit to the miseries of this material world. And there is no way you can ascertain the cause and effect. Because please understand, sometimes when you are undergoing through situations in life, you really want to know what is causing this. Why am I suffering like this? And I want to know the cause, and I want to know the effect on how to overcome this. But more often than not, that itself is frustrating than the problem at hand, because you try to find out what is the root cause. And there is a reason for this. The reason being that the karmic reactions are spanning through multiple lifetimes. We don't know when what we did is now manifesting as the fruits of my actions. Which lifetime, nobody knows. So it is not the most perfect of the solutions to find out the root cause, because I can go only so far as my memory can take, yes or yes. And that memory in Hare Krishna, and that memory in Kali Yuga is kind of getting shorter, right? Good Lord, you don't even know what you did yesterday. I mean, you have so many things that are going on that it is hard to keep track. Yes or yes? So then, your memory can carry you only so much. Then even if you have perfect photogenic memory, there are people in the world who claim to have like perfect memory. They have like a photographic memory of everything. Assuming even you have that you can recollect every single day and every single moment of your life, but there is no way you can go back in the past life. Okay. So if the phone goes off, one Bhagavatam set or 5 Chaitanya Charitamrita? These are still the 5 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. All right, wonderful. Sounds good. I will take it. So Maharaj Yudhishthira says, there is no, to know why this is being caused to me, it's a little difficult. And then he just says, one can only know this much. And then the Yudhishthira says to Nakul, please, we are all hungry, we are thirsty, and we are very tired. Please find if there is any source of water. And because they were in the middle of the forest, Target, Costco's, and Safeways were not an option. So Nakul, he climbs up to the tallest possible tree, and he sees that there are some water birds. Like, if you have storks or cranes or water birds, you know that there is an ocean nearby, correct? Ergot, seagulls, so on and so forth. So he says, I hear some of those birds, and I'll go take a look at this situation. And he goes to this lake. That lake is beautiful. Crystal clear water with lotuses blooming. Bees are humming around that lotus flowers. And the water is just sparkling, crystal clear. Nakul says, I'm going to drink the water. And then he hears a voice from the sky. The voice says, oh, Nakul, this lake is mine. You answer questions before you can drink from it. Otherwise, you will die. And Nakul forget it. I'm just going to drink. And he dies. Or he's unconscious. He falls flat with no life in him. And his twin brother, who's Nakul? Sahadev, he comes. He also tries to drink water. He sees his brother aggrieved, but he's thirsty. He tries to drink water. He's kind of also in the same position as his twin brother. Arjuna comes, and he hears the same voice forbidding him to drink the water from the lake. And this time Arjuna is, whoever you are, come before me. I will answer you with my arrows. And then he takes few of the arrows and shoots towards the direction the voice is coming in. The arrows go. And the voice comes and says, oh Arjun, you are wasting your time, effort, and arrows. Unless you answer the question, you cannot drink water. And Arjun neglects it and he drinks. And then by this time, Yudhishthira is getting anxious. Like 3 of his brothers have gone to fetch water and none have come back. And then he asks Bhima to go. And Bhima, of all the brothers, is more hot-tempered personality. He is one who is almost equal to Yudhishthira, and he's pretty a little hot-tempered personality. So Bhima goes to drink water. He again sees his brothers. He is aggrieved, he is depressed, but he goes to drink water. And the same voice says, oh Bhima, I forbid you to drink water. If you drink water, you will meet the same fate as your brothers. Bhima, in his anger, he doesn't even bother to answer. He completely ignores the voice and drinks. And he lies. Then Yudhishthira is all alone now. All of his 4 brothers had gone to fetch water, and none of them have come back. And Yudhishthira, following the footprints of his brother, he comes to this lake. He sees all of his 4 brothers completely lifeless. Yudhishthira is utterly and completely shocked. Who caused the fate of my brothers to be like this? My brothers are such powerful warriors that not even demigods can defeat one of them. But let alone all 4 of them lying unconscious by the river, by the lake. And then he examines their bodies. No injuries. Because you're a Kshatriya in those days, when you fight, then you can see, what sort of injuries no injuries, no blood. Then he tries to see if there was footprints on the sand of the lake to see if there was some ferocious animal that came and attacked. There was nobody. And Yudhishthira is like depressed, shocked, tired and thirsty and hungry, of course. But on top of it, it was this. Then as he tries to drink water, this time the same voice forbade him. O Yudhishthira, your brothers did not heed my words, and therefore they are lying on this bank of the lake. If you want your brother to come back, then you have to answer my questions. And then begins one of the most famous, intriguing, interesting question and answer session in Mahabharata. I will not go into all of those because this is just a preamble to the talk I need to give. I need to start rather. Some of them are really beautiful. Some of the questions are, Yaksha asks Maharaj Yudhishthira, what's the most amazing thing in this world? And Maharaj Yudhishthira says, okay. Maharaj Yudhishthira says, Ahanyahani bhutani gachanti iha yamalayam sheshasthavaram icchanti kimascharya tataparam. And the translation is, Ahani ahani bhutani, means that day and night, gachanti is they go. To where? To abode of Yama, which means that they give up this world. Ahanyahani bhutani gachanti iha yamalayam, to the abode of Yama alayam, the abode of Yama. Shesha means all those who are remaining behind. Shesha sthavaram icchanti. All those who left behind, they think that they are going to live here forever. Kimas, what is more surprising or what's more amazing than that? But that was not the point of the talk. Now the title of the talk. The title of the talk today I chose was Courage Through Perfect Knowledge. And one of the questions which Yaksha asks Yamaraj is, these are the two questions he asks. Many, many questions he asks. Shall I tell you one? I'll give you, Hari, please remind me of the bonus question and I'll give the answer later, but let's discuss the main topic. So, two questions he asks amongst many questions is, what is knowledge and what's ignorance? Or actually, what is knowledge and what is grief? Grief, or what is sadness, or what is misery? What is, only I am undergoing miseries in this life, right? Everybody's okay? Okay, and then it's applicable to you also. Okay, great. Sounds good. So what's knowledge? And then Maharaj Yudhishthira says, knowledge about truth. Understanding the truth is real knowledge. That's what the word is used. Tattva. How to find the truth, or what the knowledge regarding the truth is true knowledge. And what is grief? Maharaj Yudhishthira says, ignorance is grief. Contrary to the popular saying you hear, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is grief. And the whole idea is, think about it. We have had pretty nasty storms and rain over a period of time. And then, if you are a long-term resident of California, you will be somewhat unnerved, somewhat dejected by the fact that you cannot go out as easily as you would like to do. And in fact, you are not used to this kind of weather. Somebody says, oh, driving on the road, I don't know. It's just rain. Amira and Arman and Chandra are from Chicago. They're like, listen, really? You don't want to go in this weather? Right? Yeah. But if someone comes and says, the weather is going to be great and so on and so forth, then you will be happy about it. So that the ignorance is causing grief, which means that you are not sure on how to deal with this situation. But if somebody says this is okay and the rain is not going to come and so on and so forth, that will give you great relief. That knowledge is going to give you great relief. Other thing, Nowadays, because we have internet, the self-diagnosis has become rampant. For small things, people look on internet, and you will somehow think you have cancer. Usually, a human being is hypochondriac. Hypochondriac in the sense exaggerating one's own tendencies of the medical conditions. But with Google and internet, it has become exponentially manifold. You are having slight stomach, it must be stomach cancer. You must be having slight anemia, it's a blood cancer. You are having weakness in bones, it's a bone cancer. For some reason that you drank little hot burning liquid and your tongue is unable to taste, no, you got COVID. But if you go to actually a genuine doctor, because ignorance of your own body can be grief, which is you are having a fear what could be the condition. But if go to an expert doctor who says, there is nothing, this is all okay, will you feel some relief or not? So in the same vein, Krishna explains in the Gita that this material world is such that everyone who comes is covered with ignorance. In fact, the very first prayer that we read today, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayaha Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. The meaning of that prayer is that I was born in the darkest of the ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the lamp or the torch of knowledge. So, to understand the truth about oneself, that actually is the greatest knowledge and the greatest pursuit of the human form of life. Because only in this human form of life can we actually sit like you are sitting here and even talk about who am I and where am I coming from. This is the most valuable knowledge that one can get. And this is the best knowledge that one can impart and discuss. Now, how can we acquire knowledge? Because that's another important thing. For that, Charanimai Prabhu, you're manning the booth. If you can just pull up 11th canto, 19th chapter, 17th verse, please. And we can see what are the ways to acquire knowledge. I mean, how can you acquire knowledge? Because, right? I mean, assume that you have 4 PhDs and 20 Nobel Prizes, right? And then if you give up your body and the next life, you'll be born as a Stanford graduate with 4 Nobel Prizes, 4 PhDs and 20, no, you'll start with A, B, C, D. So this is the verse in Bhagavatam that kind of gives the ways we can get knowledge. So if you can repeat after me. Shruti pratyakshamaityam anumanam chatushtayam pramaneshavasthanat vikalpat sa virajyate. Megan, can you just do the translation, please, if that's okay? And if somebody can give her a mic. Somebody has to give her a mic, sorry. If it's okay, Charanimai Pro, take your time, no rush. Yeah. Hare Krishna, please come, please come. Please come.
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Okay. From the 4 types of evidence, Vedic knowledge, direct experience, traditional wisdom, and logical induction, one can understand the temporary, insubstantial situation of the material world, by which one becomes detached from the duality of this world.
So here we have 4 ways of acquiring knowledge. One is through direct experience. If I say to Arman, what is this? These are glasses, and everybody knows these are glasses because it's a direct experience or perception I can get. The other thing is called logical induction. I have a question. Will sun rise tomorrow? Yes? Of course it will rise. But how do you know? No, because induction, it has been rising exactly in this time for last billion years or whatever was the time the sun was there. We know for a fact that it will rise tomorrow. Yes, sir, yes. We haven't seen the sun rise tomorrow, but based on my empirical past induction, then I know for a fact that sun will rise tomorrow. Right? Then other thing is traditional wisdom. I mean, if you want to go visit a city, for example, I'll pick on Hari. So, he wants to experience, I don't know, maybe you didn't go to Ankara. Let's pick on, why not? I don't know, have you been to Ankara? No, you have not. So Ankara is the capital of Turkey. If he wants to go there and visit the city, then he will ask the locals, right? He will ask the locals or people who know Ankara, saying, what places can I visit in Ankara? So it's the traditional wisdom or the local knowledge that comes. So these are some of the ways of knowledge. Fair enough? I mean, we all agree with that, right? Are these ways of getting knowledge perfect? And of course, the fourth one is the scriptures. And we'll come to that also in a bit. But are these ways of acquiring knowledge perfect? That's a hard thing to say. The reason is this. They are usually not perfect. What is this? Are you sure? Is it not hydrochloric acid? How do you know? Because I can say this is water, but it can be quite many things as well. And then I asked the same thing before in the class, and one kid was super smart. He said, I know this is water and not hydrochloric acid. I said, how? Well, it'll burn through the plastic and it'll eat through the plastic. Is it correct? I asked him, how do you know this is plastic? So a simple thing this far, I cannot tell exactly with my eyes that, what is the reality of this substance. So the eyes always have a problem and limitations. Another example. Many, many years ago, I went to California caverns with my parents, with my late father and mother. It was a nice experience. I never been to any caves, and they wanted to see something unique, And okay, let's go see California caverns. And it was beautiful. I mean, there was beautiful rock formations and, the whole things for many, many years, how it formed the rocks and so on and so forth. And they said at one point of time, they said that you can experience total darkness. And for like a minute or so, you can actually experience complete darkness. And they turned off the lights. Most of us don't know what total darkness is till you are in that position. I kid you not, your hand is right in front of your face and you cannot see it. It's completely dark, pitch dark. Just cannot see your hand. It's right in front of your face. You know it for a fact because you put it there. So even if you have perfect 20/20 vision, if you don't have light, then you cannot see what is there in this world, yes or yes? So there is a problem with direct perception, as in your knowledge can only be so much that you can get. And there is a limitation to that. Induction. Who has not heard of the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee? So there are mountains in Tennessee. Yeah. You heard? No, I have not heard. Oh, you not heard? Yeah. Then I'll explain. So Tennessee has this very famous mountains called the Smoky Mountains. And the reason they are called Smoky Mountains is that the mist is always hanging over that mountains. It's like, the mist is not like the clouds you see on Santa Cruz Mountains. It's like the mist that's coming out of the trees, like few spots here and there. And it's like really not even white, little darkish in complexion. And it is called Smoky Mountains because it seems that the mountains are on fire. And therefore you see the smoke coming out. Now, our logic says if there is smoke, then there is fire. Yes or yes? But not in the case of Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, because all our California firefighters will be there all the time, 24/7, putting out the fires. So you can see even logic also kind of fails to kind of come to the right conclusion. Right? And logical fallacies, is anybody heard of it? So many places you can use logic in a very different way as well to kind of, the truth can be covered even through logic. And then traditional wisdom is a tricky thing. I was doing a class some time ago, and I was interested to see what sort of ads were shown in 1890s and 1900s and 1910s or 1915s. I saw some ads for cigarettes in around 1896, 1895. You should see those ads. You will be stunned and speechless, because those ads claim that cigarette can actually clear all your throat and lung problems. Your headaches are gone, your throat is clear, all your common colds are gone. It's a miracle thing. And you know what's the most shocking part of it? The ads clearly said, and I kid you not, you can look it up. The ads clearly said, not suitable for kids below 7 years of age. So come rolling 8th birthday to some child, and you can, anyways, I'll stop it at that. So you can see how that traditional wisdom or the knowledge that was acquired in that time was so misleading. And 100 years later, you can see the devastating effects of actually consuming tobacco. And it is now pretty much all over the world. There is not single government or health agency or medical teams that will deny. Nobody will claim saying that, cigarettes are the miracle cure to all your problems of life. So the traditional wisdom also has its own limitations, yes or yes. So then the question comes is, what would be the source of knowledge if we want to grasp something which is even beyond? We are talking, till now I was talking everything within the realm of what we can see, yes or yes. But what about which is beyond all this? Then how can you get that knowledge? And that's where the evidence or the scriptural injunctions come in. And it is mentioned how the scriptural injunctions are not man-made, but they are beyond the source of human origin, and that can be for the welfare of human beings, and those are the scriptures. I would like to take a break, ask for any questions, any comments before we continue. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so some people might say that there seems to be a similarity between traditional wisdom and scriptures. Like, if you tell them about scriptures, they usually think it's some wise people in the history, they came together and wrote this wisdom. So how do you distinguish between traditional wisdom and Vedic knowledge?
Awesome, excellent question. The traditional wisdom over a period of time can change. And it can be based on just the faith and the person from whom you received. And oftentimes, at least in India, we have, why India? Actually, every part of the world, there are certain traditions, that don't find any scriptural origins. Right? I mean, in India, we have this We really have this. If you are stepping out of the house and you sneeze, then what do people say? Sorry? Don't go out. That's what it happens. If you are about to step and you sneeze, don't go out. Something bad is going to happen. You sit here for 2 minutes, then go. God forbid if you have allergies, you miss the appointment. I'm just putting a humorous note, nothing to belittle those who have such beliefs. But over a period of time, I found that there was no, from whatever little I learned, actually there was nowhere mentioned there. So then the question comes is, why Krishna consciousness movement was so successful was because when our activities of spiritual or practices were correlated with the books and substances. So we had faith in them and we could pick it up. But over a period of time, the traditional wisdoms can get changed and then be lost from their scriptural origins. Then you question whether is it even true, right? One last point. It might be true, but the bigger question comes is that how many rules can I follow? This tradition says, my father passed away last year, and when we had to do the rituals, post departure, my God, there was so much confusion. Everybody became a self-appointed guru of how the ritual should be done. Like one person said, do this. Are you crazy? You shouldn't do this. Third person said, you can do this, but cannot do that. I was like, my God. So fortunately, my father believed in certain way of, or certain philosophy, and we had certain help from the temple that he went to and, got it done. But I can only imagine if there was no clear-cut direction on what he wanted, after he passed away. So traditional wisdom takes a serious hit when again, everybody is having quote-unquote traditional wisdom, but then who is right and who's wrong? Right? So there is that kind of challenge. Is that helpful, Mataji? And your good name? Shaili, yes. You also asked this question on Thursday. Not this question. Yes, but you asked the question. Thank you. I remember you. Thank you. Yes. Other questions, comments? Kennedy, Haribol.
Haribol, you had said during your story with Arjuna shooting the arrows in the darkness, and then also during your story of being in total darkness with your family, how light is truly the only thing that will get us to see what's right in front of us. And sometimes by design, things must remain in darkness until we're ready. But I like to think, based on your first story, that like Arjuna, we can have the desire to learn and to put practice to building skills so that even in total darkness, we can still find that light and that we can still fire our arrows successfully and hit our mark. And I found that very encouraging. So thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kennedy. As usual, you tend to draw profound conclusions. And the story is not done yet. I mean, I'm not going to leave you in the anticlimax. Okay, what happened? Did the Brahmana get his laptop, as in not laptop, spoons back or something like that? We'll come to that. But more questions, comments? Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I want to go back to Yudhishthir Maharaj's answer to Nakul when he said that there are miseries everywhere and we should not try to understand the source or the reason. So then if we are in misery, how should we approach it?
Awesome. Excellent question. There are apparent reasons for our misery, and there are mysterious reasons or unknown reasons for our misery. if a child, parents, if your child actually puts the hand into a electric socket or puts the hand into the fire, I don't think the child will be particularly happy with the fact that your misery is unknown. Who knows what happened? No, you actually know. And you tell them that, if you do that again, then there will be serious problems and so on and so forth. But most of the time, the reason is that I can go only so far as to what constituted my misery. And the biggest problem is when miseries come, I tend to beat up myself. Like anything, I am only at fault. You may be at fault, but you are also in ignorance of your true self. So to the best extent, we should just say, I may be at fault and this is happening by Krishna's will. Let me tolerate it and let me see what lessons can I learn out of it. Otherwise, too much of being a victim, I am a victim. No, you are not a victim, because your due karma is exactly coming back at you. And the problem is, because you are not seeing Krishna as the absolute cause of all causes, you tend to blame someone. You need to blame somebody in this material world. And sometimes, this can lead to premature conclusions as well. So, that is one, to blame the world. The other is to blame myself completely. I am just a victim. I am only at fault. And then you get so depressed that you feel like, what's the point? I've tried many times. So it is forgive yourself and then tolerate, depending that Krishna has a lesson for me. This is because of my thing. And then that will be apparent when I answer, when Hari will remind me about the bonus question. So the story is pretty interesting. More questions. Is that helpful, Mata? And we can take it offline. Of course, in situations like this, if there are some specific instances, then we can always take it and then discuss. Sometimes it could be that if the misery is caused by a person who's repeatedly harassing you, then there could be a way to kind of communicate, talk, and to see the immediate solution as well. It doesn't mean that, okay, I'll always tolerate and then continue. No, there could be, based on the situation, it can be very different. Which brings up Arjuna's dilemma as well. He thought that fighting the war is going to take him to hell, better not fight the war. It's not good for me. That was his perception. But based on his specific thing, then Krishna clarified and spoke the whole Gita. So it can be very, very specific, instance-based as well. So there could be multiple things. It's not a one answer. Is that helpful? Okay, thank you. Yes, Dhira Prashanta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Babuji, yeah, I was just thinking about another words in Bhagavatam, So in the words that we read today, we saw how those 4 different methods, let us know that this world is temporary and we get detached. But the first canto also talks about Vasudeve Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, Jana Aisivariyagyam, Jnanam Chayodahetukam. Just by doing, devotional service, you get both knowledge and detachment. So does that mean we don't have to endeavor these different methods, or we just focus on the devotional service? How do we understand that?
Well, as long as you have body, then you have to maintain the body as well, and because of which direct perception is needed. I mean, I'll use a humor as an example. It's always a good thing. If you go as a software engineer, and then you go and say, what sort of experience do you have? I believe only in Sanskrit and Vedas. That's the coding I can do. It may be a hard time. You may have a hard time finding a job, yes or yes. I mean, what you're saying is true. My faith is there, and the Vedic scriptures is the perfect thing. But for maintaining the body, then one has to also learn, Rust, for example, or Java, so there has to be a balance, and then that's what Ishopanishad said. Vidyam cha yes. You have to have both the things till we kind of reach there. Okay. More questions? Okay. So if knowledge is going to help us relieve our miseries, then the knowledge has to come from a perfect source. And that perfect source is beyond the human knowledge that comes in. And think about it, right? As I said before, because of the explosion of internet, it's become really bewildering even to get correct knowledge. Yeah, you go to internet to get knowledge, but half the time you are thinking, is this correct? Right? You need a source. So in the same way, the Shrutis or the scriptures which come from Krishna or God or beyond the source of human intervention are the perfect source to kind of give us that knowledge, and you will not be cheated by that kind of knowledge. So which knowledge can I bank on? The knowledge of scriptures is something that I can bank on, and there are 4 qualities for the knowledge that comes from scriptures, and that is, or there are 4 defects in human knowledge. First defect is cheating purposes. For example, senses are imperfect. I show this to Arman. I'm picking on you. Don't. So I show this to Arman, and then Arman writes a book saying that how the water was shown in the class. His intentions were perfect, but the senses with which he grasped it was imperfect. So it could have been hydrochloric acid or a very intoxicating beverage that looks like water. But it is not water, right? The truth was kind of not the truth because of imperfect senses. The other tendency is tendency to cheat. I read an article, somebody sent me that article somewhere, I got this. And the article was titled, How to Take Care of Your Soul. Give relaxation to soul. I read that article. The mention of soul was 28 times in that article. And you know what were some of the recommendations to take care of your soul? Go for a long walk in woods. Take long shower. Read the favorite book. I mean, with all due respect to the writer must have had the best of the intentions. But when you don't know what the soul is, then you are trying to say that you know what the soul is, then it's more of a cheating tendency. Right? So it's imperfect senses, tendency to cheat. Sorry? Being illusion, obviously. And the fourth? Sorry? Committing mistakes. So these are the tendencies for human knowledge. And then the Vedic scriptures actually go beyond this. They give the perfect and the pure knowledge. Because think about it. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, yes? Because he was desperate to publish some books, correct? He had to raise his profile. He had to become known in the world, famous. That's how, if you are a presidential candidate running for president, the first thing you do is write books, get it published. Yeah, sorry. So Krishna, was he running for the president of the United States? No. But why did he speak Gita then? He says, over and over he says in the Gita that I am speaking it for your benefit. I have nothing to do with this world. Out of his extreme compassion, he spoke Gita. And he gave the scriptures to the world so that people can take advantage of it and become free from the anxieties and troubles that plague in this world. As I mentioned in the starting, when Yudhishthir was asked by Yaksha, what is grief? Yudhishthir was like, point. He says, ignorance is grief. It is a fact. As long as one is ignorant of one's spiritual nature, then you are full of anxieties. You're so full of anxieties because the world is churning, and then you have desires for happiness and it's not getting satisfied, and you try every which way, and then the body is also having its own limitations. The world is changing. It's such a pitiable condition for human life. But to get this knowledge that you are not this, you are not all these, what you perceive in the world, but you are eternally a part and parcel of Krishna, and by just serving him and being united with him in yoga, you will get highest happiness. That is such liberating knowledge, actually. So liberating. Then you will be at once like, this burden that I was taking on my head, it's just not me. More questions, comments? Bonus question. Okay, I'll complete the story and then I'll come to the bonus question. You know what? Let me do the bonus question because the bonus question is going on. The bonus question is, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asked by Yaksha, what is the best gift given to the demigods, given by the demigods to the man? And the answer is, the Maharaj Yudhishthira says, the wife is such a gift. So before we start, kind of saying, oh my God, I don't know what I saw in this person before I got married. These things are happening beyond one's control. Seriously, think about it. I mean, if you think about it, growing up, you had so many visions of who would be your ideal partner and where would you land up, and then you like, life has played a cruel trick on me, man. It's applicable to, it's gender-free comment. It's not a particular gender. It's experienced by both the sides of the parties. And then so many beautiful questions Yaksha asks. It's a whole class, it's a whole series of itself. Every single question is so valid, so pertinent. So one question he asks is that, how can you ensure yourself a spot in the hell perpetually? Perpetually. And Yudhishthir asks that you invite a Brahmana to your home, saying that you will give him some food or some charity, and then when that person comes home, you don't give him anything, you are going to go to hell. If you are capable of taking, if you are capable of taking care of your dependents, yet you kind of abandon them, then you go to hell. There are few places, few things. Human life, please understand, human life is a life of comfort compared to animals. Yes or yes? I mean, a mountain lion, if you have to get food in the morning, or a bird that has to get food for her babies, they have to go hunt. And for example, an eagle, she has to provide for her kids. She has to go find a snake, risking her life being bitten by the snake, kill the snake, get it back, and feed the children. I don't think any of the kids here say, Mom, I'm hungry. Mom says, no, let me fly out and find a snake for you. But because we have our own kitchen filled with, our pantry is filled with beautiful spices and fruits and vegetables, fridges. We have every facility that we have. Human life is really a life that our consciousness is so expanded, not like animals, where it is really forced to kind of, their needs and our needs are exactly the same. They have to eat, we have to eat. They have to sleep, we have to sleep. They have to mate, we have to mate. They have to defend, we have to defend. But their fulfillment of their needs happens in a very, very tough situations. It's very tough. Think about it. A mother goes to get food for the babies. There is no guarantee the mother will come back, let alone babies getting food that night. And the babies can't call 911 and will complain, my mother missing. It's impossible. It's a tough, tight world in animal kingdom. So human life has this rare privilege of expanded consciousness, expanded awareness, and an expanded capacity to inquire into spiritual life. But if we choose to neglect that and we just continue with the basic needs of maintaining the body, then our scriptures say that you have not much to show for in the human form of life. And you just give up and then take on another body, and it's going to be the same struggle all over again. So I beseech you and I beg you that this is one glorious life that we got. At least even if we can do a little bit of effort, inquiry, and just spend some time in spiritual path, that knowledge, that results are never lost. Otherwise, everything can be lost by time. And not only that, as human beings, we are desiring of the highest happiness, unending happiness that is only possible on spiritual life, not on the material life. So let's aspire for that highest happiness. So we have 15 more minutes. So the bonus question answered? All right. So I'll complete the story because it's not good, right? Now what happens to the Brahmana, poor Brahmana and his spoons? Because So Yaksha asks Maharaj Yudhishthir all sorts of questions, and perfect answers are given by Yudhishthir Maharaj. At the end, Yaksha says, "Oh Yudhishthir, I am really pleased by your answers." Now, here is the problem though. I can revive one amongst your 4 brothers. Whom do you want to revive? And before you can guess the answer, let me give some background. There is a war to be fought. Yudhishthir has to choose the best of the warriors if he has any chance of winning the war. Arjuna was the highest rated, most powerful warrior. Bhima had the strength of 10,000 elephants. Absolutely critical for the war. So when Yaksha asked Maharaj Yudhishthir, whom do you want amongst the 4 brothers to be revived? He says, may Sahadev be revived. And Yaksha is like, are you sure? I'll give you a second chance. Are you really sure? You are going to fight the war. Arjuna and Bhima out of picture, you are going to lose the war. Why are you choosing Sahadev? And Yudhishthir says that my mother Kunti has 1 son in me alive. And my stepmother Madri, who bore both the twins, both of the twins are dead. So at least 1 son from my mother and 1 son from my stepmother, I want to be revived. And Yaksha was super impressed. And he said, are you sure you really want to choose this? I don't know, in India, for those who are unfamiliar, there is a famous saying, which is dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. If you protect dharma, dharma will protect you. And that comes here from Mahabharata. He says, Yudhishthir says, it doesn't matter what happens in the war. This is the dharma and I want it this way. And Yaksha is so impressed. He says, because of your attachment to righteousness and your unswerving devotion to righteousness, I will revive all of your 4 brothers. And the 4 brothers come, and their thirst and hunger and everything is gone. And Yudhishthir says to Yaksha, come on, you are not Yaksha. You are just like, you are showing up yourself like a bird, but a small bird like you cannot defeat my brothers. Okay, show who you are. And then Yaksha terms himself to be Yamaraj or Dharmaraj. He says, I'm your father. I have come here to test you, and I am very impressed with your devotion. And may all good fortune be upon you. And you can choose whatever boon you want from me. The first thing anybody would choose is, give my kingdom back, please. No war, no nothing, just I want my king. He could have given. You know what boon Yudhishthir asked at that point of time? The first boon, what did he ask? Thank you. He said, please, I want to give the wooden spoons back to that Brahmana. I need those wooden spoons. And Dharmaraj says, I was the deer that took the spoons of the Brahmana. And then here, take them. This is anyway they are given. And then the second boon, he says, I'm not satisfied, ask one more boon. And then Maharaj Yudhishthir says that may I always remain firm to devotion to Krishna. May I always be unswerving in my duty and my righteousness. And Yamaraj says, you already have that. What's the point in asking? It's like you have $1 billion, and then, somebody says, what do you want? I want $1 billion. You already have that. I mean, you can get extra $1 billion. Wrong example, but maybe you'll choose a heart. Well, that's a good example. I want a heart, but you already have a heart. So kind of, I'm just trailing you back. And then Yamaraj says that you already have it. Choose one more boon. I'm not satisfied. Then this is what Yudhishthir Maharaj asks for for the third boon. They never ask, please give why this miseries came upon us. Let us get the kingdom back. They said, no. The third boon, when he has asked, he said, for 12 years we have been in the forest suffering. The 13th year, we have to be incognito. We should not be discovered. Otherwise, our fate will be resigned to spending 12 more years in the forest. He said, please, give us the boon that nobody can recognize us when we are incognito. And Dharmaraj says, the boon is granted. Even as Pandavas, you roam on this whole wide earth for 1 year, nobody will recognize you. But he said, just again, getting that boon, they could have said, hey, okay, let's go. Let's go to Hastinapur and let's party. No. No. But they said, no, but you should live in the kingdom of Virat. And then they lived in the kingdom of Virat for 1 year. So you can see that, in Mahabharata, even though they are elevated, exalted devotees of God, it was not they were, lazy about their duty. And often we think that, why is God giving me these troubles? I'm supposed to be his devotee. While he's going to take away our troubles, sometimes he tests us. Sometimes he purifies us through troubles. So it is not that it is to be taken as God's wrath or his lack of sympathy, his lack of protection. His just indifference. If God is so great, why am I suffering? He is very indifferent to me. Or maybe he is God, but he has no capacity to solve my problems or protect me. Or maybe, there is no God. So all these things, in life of Pandavas, we can see how that is untrue. Right? More questions, more comments. All right. We have a few minutes. We'll do a Kirtan as well. But before that, anything else that... sorry, Mataji. Anybody has questions? Okay. All right. We'll have Kirtan for a few minutes, and then we can have Aarti at 5. Can I get Katha, please? Thank you. So before we have Kirtan, one last point I wanted to add was the fact that even Arjuna had similar problem or dilemma in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, where he did not want to fight the battle, and he took shelter of Krishna. He took shelter of a superior source, and he got perfect knowledge. And at the end of that, Arjuna told Krishna, "Oh Krishna, by your mercy, my illusion is destroyed. My doubts have been removed, and I'm very confident to act." So the path of spirituality entails that one not only get the perfect knowledge, but also get the right source or the guide to understand that. And oftentimes scriptures can be difficult to understand or follow, or seems very abstruse or out of time. They seem to belong to another era that has no relevance to modern time. But please understand that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I spoke this knowledge millions of years ago to Sun God. Now, millions of years ago to Sun God means it must be outdated material. But because the soul is not changing, it is always the same and pure, it is that same knowledge that is never going to change. So, how one achieves perfect knowledge and achieves perfect happiness is the theme of spirituality. And I urge you to explore and invest some time in this for your own happiness. Anything else? Any last final questions? Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so very much for the wonderful class. My question may be answered, but I couldn't comprehend, or because of my ignorance, I didn't pick up. So we have imperfect senses imperfect mind, but we have perfect knowledge provided through Vedas. So how to perceive knowledge perfectly with imperfect senses?
If you can understand, if my hand can grasp this, right, my sense of ears might not perceive it, because my hand can perceive that I'm holding a bottle, but my ears might not be able to perceive it, because the way my hand can grasp matter, my ears can grasp in a different way. Yes or yes? But my mind, who is able to see all the senses, is able to know that the hand has grasped the bottle. Similarly, beyond mind is the intellect, beyond the intellect is the false ego, and beyond the false ego is the soul or the spirit soul. You can only look outward but not backward. And then in the soul is the super soul. My vision can be only directed externally, not inward. Because we say I am a soul, but I cannot even see myself, then how can I know I am a soul? Is that a fair question to ask? So the process of yoga says that the nature of soul is self-revealing, which means that when you are self-realized, you yourself are able to see yourself. So the process of yoga, because it's a logical question. People say that, okay, by following yoga, you will discover yourself. How will I know I discovered myself? Because at this point, I have not discovered myself. I need external thing. Even when I have discovered I need something external, the answer is emphatic no, because the soul has the nature of being self-revealing and self-illuminating. Is that helpful? It's a deeper subject matter. We can go, it's a lot more involved, but I'm just giving you the gist. All right. We have just a few minutes, Kirtan, and then we can do it. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvisheshunyadi Paschatya Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I thank all of you for coming today for the Sunday Feast program at ISKCON Silicon Valley. The next part of the program is going to be singing and dancing and before the Lord, and then we will have prasadam after the announcements. So I've been asked to announce that Jai Kanai Prabhu will sing the Gaurarti and Priya Kishori will be singing the Nrsimhadev prayers. Thank you. Haribol, thank you again for coming. Hare Krishna. Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripas.
Hare Krishna. Namah Vishnupada Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Asakari Sukharini Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Bhaktavinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, little louder, please. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Divine grace, Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pribhradikacharya Stotra Sat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada ki Nanta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Shila
Annamai. Oh, Annamai. Can someone turn on the light, please, in the back? On the other side. On the other side. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. We welcome you all to the Sunday Feast Festival here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Thank you for joining us. To all the devotees who are personally present here and all the devotees who have joined online. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone. Today's discourse was brought to us by His Grace Srivas Pandit Prabhu. So let's express our gratitude and thank him for the beautiful class. Hare Krishna. Let's thank His Grace Jai Kanaya Prabhu for leading the Aarti. Hare Krishna. And also Priya Kishori for leading the Narsimha Aarti. Hare Krishna. Anyone coming here for the first time to the temple? Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We have many devotees. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions or if you like to be of any assistance, please reach out to us. My name is Sri Gopal Das, our Priya Kishori, sitting in the middle, right there. And we would be happy to assist you in any way we can. So let's chant one Mahamantra for all the newcomers. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For today's sponsorships, we have one sponsorship. Abhinav and Nandini are sponsoring on the occasion of their daughter's birthday. Her daughter's name is Adhira. Adhira and Abhinav, are they here? Okay, please come. Thank you for sponsoring. And let's chant one Mahamantra for them while they approach us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Abhinav Prabhu and Nandini Mataji for sponsoring for your daughter's birthday. She is 1 now? Is she 2? Okay. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. We would like to thank you all for gracing our daughter with your presence today. And we would like to thank everyone, and especially the ISKCON family, for making us a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will have a Mahaprasad for you. I'll give you after the announcements. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. So now we will have the cooks announcements. Do we have anyone for the cooks announcement? Do we know who are the cooks for today? Ujjwala Rasamataji. Do you know the cooks? Why don't you come here? So as you know, in ISKCON is a kitchen religion. Every program that we have here, we serve prasad, and prasad is like a full-fledged dinner or the lunch whenever the program happens. And there is a huge team that leads this program. So Ujjwala Rasa Mataji will announce the cooks for today.
Hare Krishna. I was helped by Trupti Mataji, Tadya Seva Prabhu, Rasamrit Sesha Prabhu, Sirisha Mataji, Harita Mataji. Harita Mataji's Prabhu, I forgot the name right now, sorry. It was too sudden for me. And am I forgetting anybody? Rasraj Prabhu. And there are a lot of people cleaning inside right now and getting out the prasadam for everybody. So I hope you guys have a pleasure of enjoying the prasadam. Thank you.
Okay, let's give them a big round of applause. It's not only the cooking team, but there is a prep team that happens, throughout the weekend. There's a lot of effort that goes on in preparing the prasadam. So let's thank them all. Okay, Hare Krishna. Now we will go for Prasad Sevaya prayers. Oh, Priya's birthday. Okay, Priya Kishori, please come here. Please. Okay, we wish Priya Kishori a very nice birthday. And she is the backbone of the ISV youth. She was practically raised here through her childhood. She recited shlokas when she was merely 5 years old, chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and she is an inspiration to all the ISV youth here. So we thank her and we wish her a happy birthday, and we look forward to you leading the ISV youth, and they also look forward to your guidance. Thank you, Priya Kishori. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Priya Kishori, yeah, of course.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your kind blessings and words. I wanted to, I'm deeply grateful to every member of ISV who I have known from my childhood to those who have come into my life over the years. Each one of you has been such a blessing to teach me what is important in my Krishna consciousness. And I'm so grateful to all of you, and I pray that I can eternally serve here and be of service to everybody present. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
So before we go for Prasad Seva prayers, we'd like to thank His Grace Charunimai Prabhu for bringing us the broadcast program. Haribol. Gita Priya? Sadhu Vrindavan? Okay. Sadhu Vrindavan, please go ahead with the Prasad Seva prayers.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Sharira Vidya Ja Jodindriya Sahika Please come take prasadam.